Hello everyone, today I'm going to show you the method I use to texture any wooden surface, and also then we'll mix up some paints to create a more interesting design or just to increase the contrast of the wooden fibers. So let's get to it. Here's an older example of what I did, and this is textured, and also I mixed some blue paint with dark red lacquer. Now you'll see that on the left I have a few more wooden slabs, and I'm gonna actually make a few more examples of this method. Now this is just spruce wood, and I think it's the cheapest that you can get, but for this you will need a butane torch since we're gonna burn the wood to a crisp. Also, I use spray paint, chalk paint, lacquers. You can actually go wild with it, and you can mix up your own colors depending on your preference, but this is just to show that it works with more than just normal paint. So let's burn the wood. Don't be afraid to really burn it down. You'll need to carbonize that wood in order to expose the fibers. And you'll see here that I burnt it pretty good, and you'll even get some flames here and there. You can use a vaporizer with water just to calm it down a bit. And after you're done, it would be advisable to let it cool down a bit, and you'll see why. Don't be an idiot like me. Wear some gloves, protective gear, a mask for the dust and everything like that, and you should be good. And now that the wood is burned, we will need a brush, a wire brush or steel brush, whatever you call it. And here it would be tempting to use a power tool to actually clean it out, but only if you're dealing with big surfaces, use a power tool. Otherwise, do it manually because it's gonna give a better effect. You're not gonna damage the wooden fibers and the grooves that are created right now. Here you want to move the brush the same way the wooden fibers are orientated. Again, if you're using a power tool, you might damage them, but it's still gonna work. What you don't want to do is do a circular motion, because that's actually gonna damage those fibers. And whatever we did so far, it's pointless. After you gave it a good scrub and you got rid of all those carbonized parts, now before painting it, I'm just gonna explain what happens here, just for you to see the thought process behind. If we take a look at both of those slabs, the one on the left is just the normal one, not burned, and we have the burnt one. Now, if you take a section view of that part, it will just be a smooth piece of wood, and that's it. But if you take a section view of this one right now and basically view it from the side, you'll notice now that you have a lot of grooves and the fibers are uneven, so it's no longer a smooth surface. Now, there's the advantage that you can actually use more coats of paint to mix them up a bit. And inside the grooves you can put one layer of paint, and after that you're gonna sand it down a bit, expose the wood, and use another coat of paint. So now we're gonna get to lay down the first coat of paint, and I'm using just a normal blue spray paint, and this is gonna be the first coat. I'm also gonna use some paint thinner to wipe it down. You don't want to get a lot of paint on it, you just want to get it inside the grooves. Now, after you're done painting it, you will use a bit of sandpaper to actually expose the natural wood color. And the more you sand it down with the sandpaper, the more bright it's gonna become. And if you just sand it down a bit, you'll maybe just get rid of the paint coat that you applied. But if you insist a bit more, and again, this is gonna be a motion according to the fibers of the wood. You don't wanna move your sandpaper in a perpendicular way because that's gonna damage them. And after you sand it down and you expose a bit of the natural wood color, you can start applying a second coat, and here you can use actual wood lacquers. Now here you will see me using a piece of cloth. It is an actual cotton cloth that I'm using because I do not want to completely cover up the wood with that lacquer. I just want to give it a bit of color. And you now will have to wipe it down a lot just to make sure that you don't cover up the blue paint inside the grooves. And this will give the wood that dark red color but with blue highlights. And basically here is the process that's really tricky. And if you're planning to do multiple wooden slabs or pieces with the same color, you will have to do them all together because it's really hard to get them to match if you're doing separate pieces. And now that you're done, you can let them dry and then apply a transparent protective coat or a shiny coat depending on your preference. Now, I did a few more examples just to showcase this method. So we do have the normal dark red and blue one that we just did, and you can see those blue highlights on that piece of wood. The next one was a mixture of black and golden chalk paint, and it's hard to see on the camera, but it has a few gold highlights in it and it's a bit shiny as well. And this next one, I applied a bit of white paint to brighten it up a bit. And after sanding it down, cleaning it up, you'll get this very high contrast between it and the wooden fibers. And last one, it was quite interesting. It was a pink chalk paint, and I think it turned out really good. And then I applied some oak lacquer, and basically this is it. I do hope you enjoyed, and have a good one.